Hey, Dorian Carter here. I just want to jump in and talk about my favorite subject, which is adaptive reuse. So adaptive reuse strategies, to understand what adaptive reuse is, we can talk about a piece of property, real estate, that has been repurposed for something new. So it could be a vacant warehouse that has been repurposed for new office space, new retail space. You see it all over. So basically, communities decide that an older structure shouldn't be torn down and it can be reused. And that's very important in the grand scheme of things because it allows, one, to keep the character of a neighborhood or a community, and two, it often allows for cheaper construction costs on property. So let's dive in a little bit about it. So it's like I say, it's transforming. If we're thinking about that same game aspect that I like to talk about, it's like transform a player from one position to another in sports. You know, sometimes people can play multiple positions. For instance, Magic Johnson was known for being a guard. He would bring the ball up. He was point guard, they call him now, but point guard, right? But then he can get down into the small forward position and post somebody up and take them to the hole, right? Because of his height. So uncommon player. But just think of adaptive reuse as that, taking something what once was and moving it to another position. Often players start out and play one thing in high school and something different in college or something different in the pros. So look at it like that. So market analysis is a key part with commercial real estate and adaptive reuse. And often you see adaptive reuse is really, neighborhoods are changing, right? You know, it used to be an old industrial, it was close to the city, but now you want to move that industrial stuff way out into the suburbs somewhere. And then now you want to change those narrow neighborhoods and you got character. So you got new houses, retail shopping, all those things going in. So you do something really precipitates change on this or causes change in this is the fact that neighborhoods is changing and the market is different. So a market analysis is looking at the strengths and weaknesses and determine exactly what you're going to put in that neighborhood, right? So next, zoning and regulatory assessment. Of course, if something used to be a warehouse, you're going to have to do some zoning change to it, of course, and typically that's done ahead of time. You won't have to do it, but a market or a neighborhood starts to go that direction. And one of the things you got to know is municipalities assess zoning and land use, which is two different things. Normally ahead of time as they see the growth and the desires of neighborhoods to change, or people in the neighborhoods decide to change, or it's dilapidated and how do we improve it. So that's improved through zoning and land use changes, which is not created equal. So some regulatory changes is what happens. So historic tax credits are often involved in, and we won't go too deep into historic tax credits. One is it has its own thing. I am not a professional in tax credits, but I will bring the professionals to you, right? That's what I do. I understand that that's a whole different animal, but historical tax credits is allowed to take some of these older neighborhoods and then improving it by investments that are given to developers through tax credits. So it allows those developments and the cost of doing them to go forth and get to success because it has some tax benefits and investments that is contributed to the project. So offset costs for real on a development project, historical tax credits and historic buildings, how you repurpose them, and adaptive use is repurposing real estate, right? Collaboration with local community really is, in essence, that's it. It starts to go off into a direction of being changed because of the community. And so adaptive reuse requires a lot of collaboration with the local community because it builds up your support for the project, and it's always going to be needed. Any project that's done As a matter of fact, I can tell you as a developer or a person in commercial real estate, the number one mistake you want to make is not involving the community in a project. They can kill it quicker than you can turn your neck. Really can happen. So collaboration with the local community is important. Creative in design and architecture. Man, there are some architects out there that thrive in this, making these older, dilapidated, torn up spaces. Matter of fact, I'm in a community. This office is located in a community that is historic in this town. And so it's buildings that were transformed from industrial buildings over to office space, and all types of things happen. And so believe me, designer and architect can take those buildings and make them brand new living spaces. And so that's who you employ to do that, to give that look. It's just not up to the developer they come up with a concept, but an architect comes up with the look and feel. So that's important. Here's another important thing that we find out in adaptive reuse, and it's the structural integrity of the building or the property. A lot of times these properties have had some things in the past that structurally may not make them sound. And so there's some engineering to be done around them to make sure they can be used. And in some cases, you have to end up tearing a building down. But for the most part, you want to try to keep that structure. What happens is if the structure it takes more money to improve the structure existing than it would to tear it down and rebuild it. Then you tear it down and rebuild it. So very important piece. And the other to go with that is the environmental sustainability. A lot of times these factories had chemicals, things in them that you may not know about. Well, you got to have some testing, environmental assessment of the property itself. So the whole goal is to make the property environmental sustainable, but then you have to do some checking around that. How do we take these and make these buildings eco-friendly? But if you think about it, a brick building is solid, right? You can do some things there with those brick buildings that you couldn't do with new construction. Frankly, you can't. So the sustainability of being able to keep things to use the same look and feel of it, but also contribute it positively to the environment is important as well. So that's environmental sustainability. We call it eco-friendly real estate development. Flexible floor plans. So here's the thing with adaptive reuse. What I love about it, there's a love and then there's some challenge with it. Here's what I love about it is there's nothing like, as you see here, right here behind me, you see brick wall. This building is an example of what I love about adaptive reuse. You take what was and make them new, really new spaces. So that's what we're talking about. Take a look at this. It's how do you really make this an awesome project? And so making it have that look and feel is so important. But the key to it too is it allows for flexible floor planning. In some cases, you may have a loft, high ceilings. You can't see it here, but the ceiling is high and open. You gotta love that feel. I love open space. And so that's what it allows for, flexible floor plans and all in one space. So it allows for that design. So it creates spaces that can accommodate various uses over time. Versatility. You can literally have a kitchen, a office, all in one space that used to be a warehouse. So I love it. Strategic partnerships. Developers, architects, and local businesses work together on these projects. This is so I have to add neighborhood as well. These are moving strategic partnerships for them to be successful. So you got to have everybody in on this, including the local government, to make these projects successful. And so adaptive reuse is full of strategic partnerships. It's a certain love for people that do this type of work. And so here's the other thing too, to make them work financially, doing a financial feasibility study is so important. That's done on most developments anywhere. But when you're involved in a project like this that often has tax credits involved and is specialized financing to make these things work. And so you have to conduct a financial feasibility study, which I recommend on any development. As a matter of fact, it's impossible to get it done or financed by a bank unless you can prove that the project can be successful, right? So it's like the budgeting process. When I say financial feasibility, understand that's budgeting. That's really putting all the numbers together and making this thing look good and see that you can actually have some profit off of it. It can be profitable. Of course, we talked about technology. Technology is involved in all of this. So if you can imagine, a lot of these buildings take smart design, right? This one, you got all types of controls and systems because there's really no ceiling in here. It's open all the way to the roof. So you need some modern technology and advanced systems, HVAC systems that work well for this type of environment. So you need monitoring of all sorts. Last but not least, the second most important thing about these projects is this often public-private partnership. Here's why. You got zoning changes that starts to change over time, but then you have a building that has environmentally needs to be mitigated to make sure there's no problem. You got changing neighborhoods. You got developers that want to do something new, and it all adds to the tax base. So understand these are public-private partnerships, and you got to often secure teams together, many people working together to make them successful. So adaptive reuse really requires a strategic approach. It really does. Much like repositioning a player within a game, right? You gotta, that's just an example of how we do it. It's like combining creativity, market analysis, community engagement, partnerships, strategic partnerships, all to make this a successful commercial real estate project. So I absolutely love adaptive reuse. I would love to work on a project like that. If that's something that you are interested in, contact me. Let's talk about how we can get that done for you. Comment down there. That's me. I always want to hear your thoughts. By all means, there's a scheduling link up top. Click it, schedule some time with me, and do not forget to like this YouTube page. I look forward to talking with you again. Take care. Have a great day.